Okay, great. Thanks everyone for joining our webinar today. So I am the founder of digital transformation platform called Discover New You. And the goal and the vision of the platform is to help leaders and organizations in terms of being more successful, transform the business into new successful environment by connecting global partners with organizations. And the challenges are in terms of personal branding, communication, sales trainings, team building, and also employee well-being. That's why today we have a webinar with two of our partners from US. Jennifer Asideo, she's Bob Proctor consultant, corporate coach, and success partner. And also we have our guest speaker, international author, best-selling author, actually, Dan Matthews. And the topic of today's webinar is the winning team, because we know how challenging it is sometimes to manage in the corporate world, in different industries like medical, pharma, or finance, teams of people to be successful and to change and adapt to new situation. Even now in the COVID time, I think there is a lot of challenges, restructurization of the way people work and they manage their teams. So we want to help them to be more successful and effective. Maybe Dan and Jennifer, you can introduce yourself and tell a little bit more about your experience and what it was going to be today share with the audience.
Jennifer, would you like to start?
Oh, sure. So I'm Jennifer. I'm CEO and founder of Reach Your Highest Potential, and I work with individuals and teams, leaders, professionals, creatives, and I really work on their mindset to help them become more effective and efficient at what they want to achieve in life. I've helped sales teams increase their productivity and their revenues, and I've worked with leaders to become more effective at pulling out the potential in the others that they lead within their teams. So very glad to be here and to share this platform with Dan and Lisa. Go ahead, Dan.
And I'm Dan Matthews. I have a very passionate interest in physics. I'm a kind of a science guy. I love to study physics, quantum physics, have a degree in physics. I also have a degree a master's degree in biology and a degree in English. I taught for 17 years, mostly in the sciences, but most recently I actually wrote a book that related the fundamental laws of physics to the fundamental laws of personal development. To show that the laws that govern physics in the natural world are exactly the same laws that govern personal development, the universal laws that govern the unseen or spiritual world. And if you can find, if you have an issue describing something or understanding something in the unseen world in terms of personal growth, how people get along, how you develop goals, and how a team develops from a group of individuals into a cohesive unit, all you have to do is look at the natural world and how the natural world operates, because everything operates on the same principles. And that's really what we're going to try to talk about today. Thanks so much, Elisa, for getting all this together. And Jennifer, it's a pleasure to work with you again.
Right, thank you very much. So yeah, Jennifer, maybe you can start, with our content.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So when we look at winning teams, we're looking at probably like 3 pillars that create that winning team. We're looking at cohesion, right, between each individual and coming together as a group. And we're also looking at how they think in terms of, are they geared towards creative solutions? And then how do they come together to amplify their own thoughts and their own thought processes? How do they complement each other and leverage each other within the mastermind principle? So those were the three pillars that Dan and I wanted to cover for this session. And Dan, please step in whenever you would like to. But with cohesion, it's a matter of how do the individuals, right? When we look at, even companies, or organizations, they're really a group of people. Without the people and without each individual pulling out their potential, without the people, all we have is the building, the furniture, we just have the infrastructure. So really, truly, the essence of companies are the people themselves. So how do we get them cohesively working with each other? And a lot of it has to deal with how they actually set their goals and having a common goal, right? What are their beliefs and their habits, and how can they synchronize those beliefs and habits together to really create that cohesiveness amongst all of these individuals? And I love how Dan has said, are these a real team, or is it just solo players that are together, in a group? But we really want to have the cohesive winning team, right? And it's about having a harmonious relationship with one another. So you're really looking at what are the attitudes of each individual towards each other. Because whether we like it or not, we're always communicating with each other, right? We can feel each other's energy. And that's more of Dan's forte, to talk about energy. But we truly are communicating with each other in verbal, nonverbal, and energetic ways. And that's either going to build the morale of the team, or it's going to disintegrate the morale of the team, right? So, and how do we align each individual with one another as well? And to create a culture, a habitual way of thinking, of looking at wins and looking at the good, right? Same time, improving what needs to be improved upon, but also looking at that from a winner's perspective. Dan, do you have anything to add to that in terms of cohesion?
Well, yeah, I'd like to back up to what is cohesion anyway? If we look at it, you think of cohesion like things sticking together. Well, it's not really like glue. That's called adhesion. When you put an adhesive on something, it actually sticks things together. But in cohesion, the think of it this way: if you put a drop of water on a smooth surface like a piece of glass, it forms a little droplet. It doesn't spread out into a thin sheet like maybe if you put gasoline on there, it forms a very thin layer. But with a water droplet, it goes into a little ball. And it doesn't matter if you tip that glass, the ball will stay together, but it'll start to drip off, start to run off. But the ball still stays together, and that's because of a physics property called cohesion. And with cohesion, what holds it together is there's an electrical attraction between the water molecules. Water molecules have a positive side and a negative side, and they get together like little magnets and stick together into a ball. That's the kind of thing that you're trying to create when you have any corporate team. If you have a team of managers, if you have a manager who has a team of people that are all working on one project, you want everybody to fit together in such a way that they attract each other. There's not a glue that's holding them together, which would be if you have the manager as a taskmaster that's driving them or forcing them to get together. They get together because there's a mutual attraction between them. And that's the difference between cohesion and adhesion. So how does that work in a group? How do you get a group to become a team? What is it that makes a group become a team? Think of it in terms of sports. If you have one star player and a bunch of other players that are mediocre, you might do fairly well, but you won't have cohesion on that team. If you have a group of players that maybe aren't all star players, but they play well together, that team is a much stronger team than the team that has one star player. And getting a group of people together to make a team means that people work in harmony with each other. That you don't have somebody who's a great salesperson and that person's selling 80%, making 80% of all the sales, and the rest of the people really aren't doing anything. It would be better if you had 10 people who were all each doing 10%. You would have a much more cohesive team, because you would be working in a creative atmosphere and working together, rather than having one person being a star and everybody doing something different. And we'll talk a little bit about creative solutions in a few minutes, but I think that if you look at what is it then that brings them together, it's because in a true team, you have common goals. In a sports team, the goal is to win the match or win the game. And if everybody has that as their focus and they believe that it's possible, there's a much greater likelihood that winning will take place. And the whole team will win, not just one person. You won the game for us, so that person gets all the credit and everybody else just gets forgotten. Everybody contributes and everybody supports each other. That's the whole idea of cohesion. And Jennifer, maybe you can talk a little bit about how does a team leader help to produce that quality of cooperation, of alignment, or of harmony within the team in order to reach a common goal?
Well, in my experience, the leader has to understand what are the aspirations of the individuals that he or she is leading. And based on those personal and professional aspirations, it aligns with, the goal of the executive team. I think it's actually Zig Ziglar who says, if you really want to be successful, you help other people get what they want. It's the same thing with the leader, right? Because the leader, him or herself, is also selling the vision. And part of selling that vision is helping that individual get what they want, right? So that is how it's like we create win-win situations with each other. And it has such a positive vibration or energy within that workplace where everyone's motivated and self-motivated to do the actions that is required to be successful in attaining that goal. And also that goal needs to be one that it comes down to decision, actually, right? The group itself has to come to a decision that this is what we are all inspiring and aspiring to attain. And so that goal is also one that stretches each individual to pull from their own potential and see what are they really made of, and they focus on that vision of that goal. And we'll go over this in a little bit, where how do we align our actions towards that goal?
So I think we have questions from Alex, but
okay.
We take it now or?
Yeah, we can take it now.
Okay, Alex. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So based on the explanation that you did about cohesion, is that the same thing when you say, hey, those people has a chemical between them? It's the same thing?
I didn't quite catch the question. I couldn't. It's a little bit muffled there.
Okay, can you hear me now?
That's better. I'll turn you up a little bit here too. Okay.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so based on your explanation regarding cohesion, sometimes we say between people, hey, there's a chemical between them. Is that the same thing as cohesion?
That's what I would call it. It's cohesion of a kind. I would call that harmony more. I would call that harmony because people often say, yeah, the two of us are on the same wavelength, or we're in harmony. You say you're in harmony, and harmony is another physics term that has to do with if one object vibrates, something that's in harmony with it will start to vibrate also, and you can feel that you can feel it not in your body, but you can feel it in your heart. If you're with somebody that you're in harmony with, you really are on the same wavelength. But that is a kind of cohesion because it means that you're attracted to each other on a very deep level. People say, oh, it seems like I've just met that person. It seems like I've known him my whole life. Well, you're in harmony. And I think when Jennifer was talking about having a common vision, the important thing to develop a team is to make sure that the team has a goal. Just the leader, just the manager having a goal doesn't help if the team doesn't share that goal. And they have to buy into or they have to want that goal in the same way that the manager or the leader wants the goal. And so
Yes.
what you need to do as a leader is make sure that the goal is something that the team understands and that they embrace.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think, Alex, when we were in the group earlier, I had people write down what their corporate goal or what their personal goal is. And one of the important things in developing a team is to have the team, each of the team members write down, what would you love to see in this company? What would you love to see in this team? What would be, if you were to write down the team goal in 10 words, what would it be? And bring those things together. Jennifer and I actually did that before this meeting. We actually wrote down what we thought were the goals of the meeting and then looked to see what are the goals that we had in common. And we selected those to talk about. And I think that if you do that with a team, then you have people who feel like they're being heard, that the manager is listening to them and that they have input. It's not a democracy because when it comes down to it, the manager makes the decision. But if the people on the team feel like they're being heard, they feel like the manager listens to them and gets it, then you will have the loyalty of the team because they feel like they're part of the group already.
Mm-hmm.
So getting together an initial team meeting and saying, if you could have what you wanted with no restriction, what would be your vision for your team, for your company? What would you see this company doing? Do you see the stats going this way? You see the stats going this way. A lot of people, this is their whole life. Their whole life, they see everything going downhill, down, down, down. And which makes me think of another thing called entropy. Have you heard of entropy?
Yeah.
Entropy is another physics term, and it means that if you don't put energy into a system, it will naturally go from a state of high order or high energy to a state of low energy. That's the natural way of everything. Everything goes from order to disorder or chaos. We see that in the world a lot today, things going from order to chaos. But it happens with everything in physics. That's why a tree takes energy in and grows into a huge tree, but when the wind blows it over, it immediately starts to decay. And it isn't very many years before the tree is now back to being soil again.
Mm-hmm.
And so the same thing happens in a company. If you don't put energy in, the company will go downhill. There has to be energy, and it has to be energy of a certain frequency. It has to be positive energy, which the intention of that energy is growing, is abundance, is prosperity. That's the kind of energy that grows a company. If you think of disagreements, you think of things that are wrong in the company, you can make the whole list of all the negative things, then entropy will happen. You're going to go from order to chaos in that company, in that team.
Yeah, it's interesting what Dan is touching upon in my experience with working with leaders is the creative mind must be there, because I've worked with super analytical leaders and you can feel the energy decrease in the room when they purely come from logic. It's very interesting. And that type of thinking has got to turn around quickly, where it's like, let's get visionary now. Let's really start imagining and going into the creative solutions, right? What do we really want to see? The how is secondary. It really is. The how will show itself to the team and to the leader. What do we desire to see, in our team? And that's the key important question. I love what Dan was touching upon with entropy, because this is why it's so important that each individual and the leader, they progress in their mindset development, because that's the form of progress. Like Bob talks about this, our mentor Bob Proctor talks about this. If there isn't a continuous progression in mindset development, two things will happen. Either you're going to stay like this, which eventually there will be decrease. There will be disintegration. So that creativity, that type of thinking must constantly be this way, like increasing, right? Intentionally, right? So, it's like Albert Einstein said, right? You cannot solve problems at the same level of thinking that created them in the first place. So we have to be infused with thoughts of a higher frequency, of a higher nature, and incorporate that into and I use the term consciousness or thinking, to come up with more creative solutions. And especially for the leaders, it's very important for them.
Well, in the case of the leader of a team, if I'm the leader of a team and I have a competitive mindset, what I'll do, if a person with a competitive mindset sees the weakness in others and sees a way to take advantage of that weakness to make themselves stronger, that's the competitive mindset. The cooperative mindset or the creative mindset sees not the potential, it is potential, but sees the capability in others and uses those capabilities to strengthen the team. There's a fundamental difference in that mindset. One is looking for weakness to make, if I'm competitive, I'm looking for weakness to make myself stronger. And I will call out the weakness in others in front of other people to make them even weaker. That's what competitive people do. And if I'm part of a team and my leader is a competitive person, I'll find that out very quickly. And when it comes time, he said, now you must open up to me and tell me what you think. I'm not going to tell him what I think at all, because I know that all he's going to do is find the weakness and take advantage of it and make me feel smaller in the eyes of my peers. That is absolutely the wrong way to approach a team. When you approach a team, you look at the capabilities and you look at the possibilities, and you encourage the strengths. You find out what people are doing right. What are they doing that's good, and encourage that characteristic to thrive, so that with every person on the team, they may have all different characteristics, but if you focus on what they do right, the whole team will prosper. And not because one person is helping another person, but because they're all working in their own ways, sort of like ants in an ant colony. One ant can't do anything. it hardly even has a brain. Little tiny animal that really can't do much. But when you get a million of them together in an ant colony, they can build all kinds of elaborate structures and have a whole social order, and everybody's got their little job to do. And we can be the same way on a team. Not that I want to say people are like ants, but everybody has a job to do, and we all work together to make the team stronger. And we can do things that we could never do alone.
I really love what Dan is touching upon. There's so much to what he just said, because, even, seeing the weaknesses in other people, that's purely habitual on that level, right? And that can be turned around. What would it be to create a culture in a company where we create the habitual way of thinking, each individual, we see the highest in each other?
Mm-hmm.
You imagine the energy in that organization, right? And not only that, it's the other layer of what Dan just described is for a leader to be of a very competitive mindset, to see the weaknesses in others, it's actually a reflection of that leader's own self-image. Because as we build the image of others around us in our own mind, we are seeing the highest in ourselves, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You see? So, and these are the deeper parts that we have to be aware of ourselves, not just the mechanics of business, but it's the energy behind it. That's the chemistry that we're talking about, the harmony, right? And those are the things I wanted to just mention. I really love what Dan is describing. Yeah. And to peel back the layers of what he's talking about. I love it.
We should go on. I see time's getting on, but I'd like to talk about one other thing, and that's to go in just a little bit deeper with an example of celebrating the wins. In American football, there was a college coach named Bear Bryant, who was the coach for the state of Alabama, for one of their universities. He was the most winning coach in the history of college football. And nobody knew what he was doing. He had something secret because he just had the same type of players as everybody else, but he won more games than any other coach ever. And they asked him, what is it that you do? And they'd go through the films of the games like every other team would. But when he went through the films of the games, he pointed out what people did right. And all the other coaches pointed out what people did wrong, thinking that they could improve it. And he never used the word potential. You have a lot of potential. He always said, you have the capability. And there's a fundamental difference in saying you have potential, because it means that you're not there. You're not there yet.
Yeah, it's great, because I think we sorry to interrupt. It's the energy. It's like you want to work with people who motivates you, who want you to be better, to grow. So your mind just is happy. I mean, with negative thinking or negative thoughts, if someone, people are demotivated. So how they can improve something. So I love this part, that what you're saying, and sometimes even the communication between managers and employees are making such an impact on a person, that the person just to lose the self-image and doesn't see that he can improve anything, where doesn't see the potential for improvement. Exactly.
And talking about the capability rather than the potential also is a confirmation that you already have it inside you. You have the capability. You just haven't found it yet. You have the capability. I have the capability within me to do anything that I want to do. I know that. I may not know where it is, but I know that it's there. And if somebody else says, I see the capability that you have, it means that all you need to do is tap into it. You don't have to go out looking for something that's outside of you. It's already inside of you. Capability.
Yes. I think what makes the most powerful managers and leaders is understanding that each individual has what they project outward, and then they have that real deeper parts of themselves that is very vulnerable and needs nurturing, needs that development, that encouragement.
Mhm.
And the most effective manager and leader is the one that merges the two. Yeah, that brings out that softer side and the deep in the inside of that person, and makes it in integrity with what they actually project out in the workplace and in life, right?
Yeah.
So how do that pulling up that the capability? I love that. And it's a strong attitude too. That leader has their thoughts, their feelings, and actions towards that person is of a beautiful, positive attitude, an encouraging attitude, nurturing. Yeah, I love that. Mhm.
Now, on the Jen talked about, started to mention creative solutions, and I think that if we look at a team, when teams get together, they're usually not just getting together to chat. When you have a team meeting, the team is there for a reason, and usually it's to find a solution. But there are two ways of looking at this finding a solution. One is coming in saying, we have a problem. And the other is saying, we need a solution. Same thing, but looking at it from two different sides. If you look at it as a problem, that already sets the mindset in a negative tone. If you say we need a solution, every problem has a solution. If you look at the solution, if you look for the solution rather than focusing on the problem, then that puts the team in a mindset where they can start being creative to look for solutions, which will lead us into the mastermind principle in a minute. We can look at something as an obstacle. It all has to do with perception. What I see as an obstacle, someone else may see as a stepping stone, something that will take them further forward. I look at it as something that holds me back. Somebody else looks at something that they see it as something that will move them forward. Or I can look at an experience in life and see it as punishment. I'm being punished for something. I've done something wrong. Or I can look at as this is a lesson that I've been given. I can learn a lesson from this experience and become a better person. The other person gets driven down and says, no, I'm being punished or I've done it wrong, and they beat themselves up. The person who sees it the other way says the same experience makes me stronger, makes me more grateful, makes me understand something about myself that I can use to grow.
Yeah, I think a powerful leader who can reframe that, that's really amazing, right? To reframe that. So, with big problems, there are actually equal to it. It's by law, correct,
Mhm.
Dan? It's law of polarity, right? So if there's going to be a big problem, there's also going to be an amazing opportunity at the same time, right? So it may be just a little bit hidden at the time, but I
Mhm.
love the attitude and how to perceive the situation. And the leader has the power to reframe that perception of the group.
Yeah, and there are things that always need to be done when you finally get a vision of of a possible solution. Usually, it means something has to be done. There has to be energy put in to make a change. But once that change is made, things will run more smoothly. Maybe somebody will leave the team, which probably was the person that should have left a long time ago. But things will change and become and will grow and expand, because one of the things about the universe is always expanding. It's the nature of the universe is to grow and expand. If the goal of the team is to grow and expand, that will be in alignment with what the universe does.
Mm.
If the team grows, they're in harmony with the nature of the universe.
Mhm.
Jen, you want to talk a little bit about the mastermind?
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
The
exactly. Give us a content about the power of you know, maybe the program as well, a bit how you work with companies and how you improve the team's success. So,
Well, I think the mastermind is such a powerful concept, you know, where we use Square, right? Where we amplify ourselves, where we gather minds together in harmony with each other. And the way that we start with the mastermind is we actually read principles, the mastermind principles, to set the energy of that meeting. And we also move into wins. So this is purely, again, creating that habit of focusing on, well, what has been going well? What have we accomplished on an individual level? And we share that. At the same time, we can bring to the table what is it that we need help with. And we must be a little bit vulnerable and trust in the power of the mastermind, and that those individuals around me that I am in harmony with. We have to be very honest about this too, because if we're not in harmony with the individual, with any individual, then things need to change. But once we come together and we say, okay, this is where I'm stuck, or I need to build on this idea and to expand on it, I need your help. That's how the mastermind comes together. So it's very powerful, because instead of remaining in the same level of thinking for so long, you know, you have the input from all these individuals that literally shift that person quickly and see things from a different perspective, and they can move in the direction that they want to move in a much faster pace than they ever anticipated. So mastermind is very, very powerful.
The Napoleon Hill described the mastermind 100 years ago and said that in the mastermind, actually, it was described not just 100 years ago. Jesus talked about the mastermind principle 2,000 years ago. He said, if two or three of you come together in harmony, which he said in my name, but in harmony with a common goal, he said, there am I in the midst of you. Napoleon Hill said, if two or more people come together in harmony with a common goal, whatever that goal is, that being in harmony means they're on the same wavelength. So they're increasing each other's energy. And when they come together, there's a third mind that is produced. And sometimes they also call this brainstorming. When you're brainstorming, you're with somebody you're in harmony with, and you generate additional energy, more than either one of you have, or more than the sum of both your energies. More energy is generated, and that energy, that third mind, is like another person in the room. And both the people, or if there are 10 people together, all the people in the room have access to that common mastermind and can generate ideas that were unknown to any of them before the mastermind group meeting started. In a successful team meeting, ideas will be generated that did not exist before the meeting started. And that's the magic of the mastermind principle. And that idea, that solution, will come to one person or another and can be talked about and described, definitely described, so that it becomes a real solution to a real problem.
Yes.
because I
Absolutely.
think, Jennifer, this is the value of a team, no? Because we work in a mastermind in a group of people where everybody can share ideas, and you know, we can grow. We can, when we align to one vision and one goal, we can help each other, and you know, then different solution and ideas come up. So So that's how the successful teams work as well, no?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
They have to come together and to work with each other.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. It's
yeah,
also in the spirit of service as well, right? Service of giving to each other. And again, it's a spiritual principle and it's also habitual.
yeah.
Well, yeah, the people in a mastermind group, ideally you would have a team that's also a mastermind group. The people in the mastermind group have to be in harmony. They have to have a common purpose. Usually that common purpose is a problem seeking a solution. They're looking for a solution, or they're looking to help an individual to make a decision or something like that. But the important thing is that they're in harmony and they all agree that they kind of give up they surrender their own um, ideas or perceptions
Hmm.
for the benefit of the group. They if they have if two of them disagree on something, that disagreement doesn't have anything to do with the mastermind. It needs to be put aside. They need to be open, because if they're not open, the mastermind principle doesn't work. Otherwise, if it doesn't happen, you just have people that are talking together. If they're not in harmony, that's the secret to the mastermind. You have to be in harmony with a common goal. Now, there's one other thing that I think, Alex, we may have mentioned in the last meeting you were in, and that is to um, the whole idea of order in a team has to do with tasks being done in a certain way. And what I would recommend is the team leader get the team members to write down 6 things that need to be done, even 5 things that need to be done today, that need to be done. And that doesn't mean I've got to uh, I've got to put my papers in order, or I've got to take out my trash, or I've got to have lunch. They need to be 6 things that need to be done to move the company forward, to help us reach the goal. There needs to be a clearly defined goal. And what are 5 things that I can do today to reach that goal, to move me toward that goal? And what's the most difficult one? What's the biggest one? That needs to be done first. Don't put it off till tomorrow, because it's the most important one.
That's what I was saying. The most difficult should be at the beginning execute, because
The first one is the first one you do. And during the day, you check off your list. They may be small things. I need to make a phone call because, and I do need to make I need to make 2 phone calls today. I need to make 2 phone calls to people who want to talk to me. And that's not going to be a big goal, but each of those phone calls will move me closer to my goal.
Yeah.
They may only take 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but they need to be done. The big goal shouldn't be put off. Do the difficult ones first. Check those off. If there's anything left at the end of the day, put it on the next day's list. But when on my calendar it says 6 things I need to do today to move me closer to my goal.
that's a good
And
one.
that's 6 things, and I can check them off as I do them. And I think it's important that the team members understand the power of that exercise. One of those things that should be on every day, which I put at the top because it's not one of the 6. It's something that will move me closer to my goal, but it's something that I do every day. And that's when I get up in the morning, I write down what I'm grateful for. And that sounds like a silly thing to do. And especially from a business point of view, especially from a competitive mindset, it's ridiculous. Why the hell would you do that? I'm not grateful for anything. I'm mad at everything. Everything's wrong. But if you start out with a feeling of gratitude, it opens your mind to to infinite intelligence being able to move you in a direction that will take you closer to your goal. You can't force it. You can't force your way to your goal. You have to be drawn toward your goal.
Mm. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, the intuition, that part of our intelligence, how we use our minds, is a big part of how we reach that goal.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I liked Dan last time share with me as well the one more good hint for a team and maybe for individual people, because we're working and we're, you know, in front of the clients, we in sales. So whenever you're doing something, I mean, it's good to, you know, revise your day and think about what you do good today. You know, I think I took it from Dan, and I never did it before, but just says, wow, my day was great. I talked to 3 clients today. Yeah, that was success. That was a great companies. You know, I get them on the phone, and just the switch in our mindset as a person, you'll be more successful, more grateful. We see ourselves, and our self-image is also very good. So it's
The
I
list,
think it's
the list at the end of the day.
yeah.
Yeah, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go over that. Were you at that session, Alex?
No, I think no, he wasn't.
At the end of the day, in the
It's
morning,
great one.
when you
Yeah.
wake up, you write your what you're grateful for, and you already have your list made out of these are the 5 things I need to do today to take me closer to my goal. At the end of the day, before you go to sleep, I do these 4 things. I write down, I put down WWW. It means what went well. So I say, okay,
No, this is brilliant.
I called this person, and what went well, maybe only 3 things. It doesn't have to be a big long list, but you need to congratulate yourself. I did this, I did a good job on it. I made a great cup of coffee this morning.
No, this is great.
And sometimes I do that. Coffee was really good this morning.
With the coffee.
but sometimes it's something more meaningful than that. But I'm going to find something that I did right today, even though if it seems like everything went wrong. And the next thing is, what needed work? WNW, what needed work? And if I got angry with somebody, I don't put down I got angry. I put down what needed work was patience. So I stay on a positive, use a positive word to describe something that was a negative experience. But if I look at it in a positive way, it'll help me to make it, to improve it.
Yeah, exactly.
The third thing, well, I'm going to forget my 4 things here. The third thing was I will awaken. So this is before I'm going to bed. How am I going to wake up in the morning? Am I going to wake up grateful, focused, intentional, creative? I can put down a couple words, how I intend to wake up, because that triggers my subconscious mind to work on that idea all night. It's like it needs to. You need to work on patience. You need to work on. Cooperation. If I get in an argument with somebody, and then the last thing I put down is a cue for a question. And I have a question every night. I have a question for the universe. And it may be or a demand. You can demand things of the universe. You can demand, if you're a religious person, you can demand things of God, because you're part of God. The kingdom of heaven is within you. And you say, give me a sign.
Yeah.
Open the door for me if you're trying to make headway with a person. Just so you can put down, open the door, or you can say, what's my next step? And your mind, you will open a door between yourself and universal intelligence, and during the night it will work on that question.
Mm,
And it
right.
might take a few days or a few weeks, but you will get what you ask for.
You know,
It's
then I
great.
just want
It's very good.
to say that I literally wake up with ideas.
Mm-hmm. At
The
3 o'clock in
impression
the morning,
just
right?
come. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
3 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning, I can just write things down like crazy because my mind is totally open.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add, it's interesting, like if we see that there's something we need to work on, right? It's also assuming like I am patient,
Mm.
right?
I-
Like
that's
I am, yes. And
yeah.
that's just assuming, yeah. Because right, the subconscious mind doesn't take a joke.
No,
Right.
and it knows that you have the capability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's a
good.
good one.
Yeah.
So then,
Alex, do you have any questions?
No, I would like to ask you. Can you hear me well, or
Very good. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. I would like to ask them. So then, do you write these things every day in the end of the day, or?
End of the day, before I go to bed, I'm in bed, before I go to sleep, I have a journal next to the bed. And when I wake up, I do my gratitude. I write down what I'm grateful for. And in the evening, I do my what went well, what needs work, my
So,
question,
www.
what went well,
What went well?
what needed work,
What needed work?
I will awaken,
I will awaken.
and a question or a demand.
Yeah.
Mm.
Sounds very interesting. I will try to do that.
People I've talked to and have started doing that said it makes a big difference, and I know it makes a big difference for me. And it's one of those thoughts I came up with at 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't come up with it, but that thought came to me at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I know it was important.
It's great. Yeah.
Such an abundance mindset because all the answers are here. And I love
Yeah.
that.
Right here.
Yes.
Sure.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
right.
So good. Mm.
And I think we're ready to bring it in, Elisa.
Yeah, I think we're fine. Unless Alex has any more questions, or would you like to ask anything more to Jan, maybe, or?
No, so far everything was really good. I'm always learning from your explanation. So thank you, Jennifer and Ben.
And this is an example of the mastermind principle.
Mm.
4 of us get together in completely different parts of the world, but
Yeah.
there is a harmony.
Yeah.
And there are ideas.
The ideas, and we can improve the quality of our life, no, on our professional life, and that's mhm.
You can feel the energy of the conversation alone, right? Just the way that we speak. Yeah.
It's
We're more
amazing.
inspired, and we can learn, we can implement it into action, because you know, I like the way the knowledge we're sharing is also to make it action. It's not only learn and absorb, but execute, which makes such a difference in our lives.
Well, a question for Jennifer. Jennifer, you talk about mastermind, and then also talk about that. So could you give me another example when we can apply this mastermind in our day by day?
So example could be like if there is a problem that an individual is coming across, instead of remaining there, like stuck with that problem, that individual can just call certain people and just have a quick mastermind, say, hey, can we meet over lunch? I need to mastermind something. And then they bring out what the issue is. And then everyone in spirit of service and in harmony will help that person overcome the issue, whatever the problem may be. So it's a very powerful tool, Very powerful tool with sharpening the mind and amplifying thought power.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Jennifer also is applying in her coaching session, Alex, if you ever be
Mhm.
interested in thinking results. You have also included mastermind with other team or members of the to bring results, to improve your your work and your goal that you want to achieve. So
This is coming to me right now, and I just want to express this, and we expressed this to a law firm that we did a training with yesterday.
yeah,
Is if you think about it, we all have, and Dan, maybe you have a more accurate number for this, but it's about 70 to 90,000 thoughts that go through our minds every day, right?
That's right.
And 75% of all those thoughts are completely defaulted habitual thinking that we've inherited from like childhood and our environment, et cetera, et cetera. So everything we're talking about right now is like a reprogramming of those thoughts, you know, to intentionally see the highest in others, to be grateful, to what went well, right? What needs to work. We're like literally defining and designing our thoughts,
Mhm.
right? And we are reforming, think about this, about 70,000 to 90,000 thoughts that go through our heads every day. So, you know, when we look at programs like Thinking into Results, we're looking at how can we change these habitual ways of being and doing things that have not been serving each individual, therefore the team. And we're changing those things. We have to take like almost like a searchlight and look at, almost like with a microscope, even looking at, okay, what are those patterns of thinking
Mhm.
and feeling and doing things that need to be reformed and changed. So it's a deep dive into the inner work that translates into the actions and therefore the results.
Mary Morrissey says, "Notice what you're noticing."
Mm,
Blaine Bartlett says that too. Notice what you're noticing. When you have thoughts coming through into your mind, where's that thought coming from?
yeah.
Is it helping me?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, you can say, somebody said you can't stop a bird from landing on your head, but you can prevent it from building a nest.
Yeah,
yeah, it's a good one.
I love that.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Great.
All right.
So perfect. Thank you very much. I mean, Alex, if you'll be interested to learn more about the sessions with Jennifer, you can always schedule a one-to-one so she can tell you more about the mastermind group and things like that. And that was a great content. I think any corporation, any teams, any managers should really, again, go through the content we had today with Jan and Jen, because it's huge and powerful. And in that way, we can really create successful teams and successful companies. So thank you very much, Jen and Dan, for sharing this, Alex for participating, and others. And if anyone wants to learn more, they can always contact us. Jennifer is very active on our profile, info@discoveryou.net, and she's working, as she said, now with the law group, so it's amazing, and also helping them to be more successful as a team. And Dan as well is our guest speaker, but he has a great also input in that. So we hope to work with him more often, Dan, I think.
Yes.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Jen. And Alex, it's great to see you again, ma'am.
great to see you too. Thank you, Dan.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank
for
you, Jennifer.
joining us, Alex.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure.
Great. Have a nice day and talk to you
Thank
soon.
you. Lisa,
Bye.
thank you, Dan. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day.
Bye.